It's Tuesday, June 11th at 10:03 a.m. We're here for negotiations. I have no idea what session at this point.
Number 6.
Number six. So it's been, a long time since we've seen each other. How do you guys want to proceed this morning?
Well, we were wondering if you had a counter or any movement on the day staff proposal.
I do. I need to bring Steph in as part of my negotiation team. Are
Okay.
you guys okay with that?
Sure.
All right, let me go get her.
Okay.
She looked kind of green this morning when I told her she had
It's USB-C. This is new. It's all new. There's a computer. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I kind of regret it actually, just because Word and Excel and all that. Yeah, but like it's a Dell. Actually, we'll just do like business. So yep. I just can't do it because I'll mess with this now. It's cool for other stuff. Yeah. No. We're just getting no. They're like $15. Really? 1,200 keyboards. So it's like, yeah, $15. That's what. Yeah, this was like 11. Because I've had this one for 5 or 6 years. Still works okay, but just kind of getting old. The program for this one where I can put it like this. My computer and make it tune on it. I get my laptop and have this in a second. Really? Yeah, it's like pretty cheap. It's called DoIt. And there's one where you can do it like wirelessly. Mine I just plug it. Yeah. Like for when you're doing school stuff, it's so nice to have a yep. Especially when you're writing a paper, you're trying to do like research. You can have like yeah. You should buy it. Brought my glasses.
We're making copies.
Got coffee?
Not coffee.
Coffee.
Can't make coffee.
We did make coffee because it was a little bit late, but we can do that.
That's all right.
That's okay.
We make it up till 6 p.m.
Not sure.
Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Stephanie Harris. I'm the Senior Compensation Analyst and part of the HR team.
So Steph and Holly did the initial placement of the civilians. And then when we received your counteroffer, I turned that over to Steph, and then she did a lot of research, which she's going to share, and then we'll have a hard copy once we're done with the copies.
Okay, great.
So we can start with, let's start with the two that were originally placed at the G6. It'll be the Fire EMS Support Specialist and then the Building Code. Okay, so on each one of these, they were originally placed on the fire department pay scale on your chart as a 15X, so they were both classified as the same. When going through and looking, we'll start with Fire EMS Support Specialist first. What I did is I sat down and looked at positions that were equal to and greater than, so I looked at our grade 6, 7, and 8. Because you had requested that it be at a higher scale. And I believe that finance clerk was mentioned when we were talking about the placement on that scale. So looking at those, when we start, I started with the highest grade first, so I started with grade 8. The functions of the positions in 8 that I looked at were the emergency communications officer and the finance clerk. Looking at those positions, the tasks that those two positions have and are responsible for exceed those of the billing specialist. You have the responsibilities of your emergency communication officers, their life and death type of situations that they have. And the finance clerk has the responsibilities of budgeting, IRS reporting, and those type of things. So those tasks, I believe, exceeded what was required of the fire and EMS support specialist. The educational requirements on those two positions also exceed what is required or what was listed on the job description of the fire and EMS support specialist. Emergency communication officer, their training experience is mandated by the state of Idaho. They have to have certifications and have to be certified to practice that craft. Finance clerks, there was extended and advanced education requesting bachelor's and/or experience. So that one was not an option. I went and then started on grade 7, permit technician and legal assistant. In that particular one, the permit technician, the requirements and the certifications that they have to have, plus the responsibilities they make in reviewing all of the permits that come in from the city. They have to make sure that they meet the city ordinances. They work with planning, they work with engineers, they work with architects throughout the community to make sure that everything flows and that they've met those standards. The legal assistants, they assist with all types of legal preparation. Their decisions can have ramifications that are higher than that of the fire EMS and the support specialist, because there are criminal and civil situations that they can impact the outcome on. When I compared that, the fire EMS support specialist with the other positions, utility billing specialist, police support specialist, the police stenographer, transcriptionist, and the administrative assistant, all of these tasks and responsibilities flowed with those positions. If when the job description, it mentions in the fire EMS, all of their data entry, their responsibility, their accounting functions, that can be very easily compared to your utility billing specialists with the number of bills and data that comes into them on a day-to-day basis, the accounting functions, the balancing that they have to do within their accounts, their accuracy that they have to attend to as far as making sure are there any overages or things like that that they have with their customers. In looking at the police support specialist, the records, the certifications, the police support specialist and the stenographers both have certifications that they have to achieve with NCIC and those type of things, and those certifications have to be maintained. And then your administrative assistant, the tasks that they do are very similar listed to support specialist. So at this time, my recommendation is to leave that placed on the city scale as a grade 6. For the billing and coding clerk positions, this one was also placed at a 15X on the fire department pay scale. And the recommendation that we had initially was to place it on the city scale as a grade 6. The positions that I compared them to, I went with 6 and then 2 above. With the grade 8, I compared them to the same positions that I did for the fire support specialist. The positions were emergency communication officer, finance clerk. For the grade 7 were the permit technician and legal assistant, and grade 6 positions were again the utility billing, police support specialist, stenographer, transcriptionist, and the administrative assistants. In looking at the billing and coding clerk, the tasks of the grade 8 positions surpassed the liability that the decisions of the grade 8 positions bring to the city carry a higher liability risk than those of the billing and code clerk positions. The permit technicians and legal assistants, again, the educational requirements and certifications of those two positions, do exceed. I believe that when we were looking at the billing and coding clerk position, there was a certification that needs to be, that they have. It's a CAC, I believe is what it was. That certification is similar to what would be held by the police force specialist or the transcriptionist as far as certification goes. The amount of data entry that they do, the accuracy, and the contributions that they make to their division are very similar again to the police support specialist, the stenographers, and utility billing, especially when you look at the amount of data that each one of them enter and are responsible for on a day-to-day basis. So my recommendation was to leave that position at a grade 6 based on that comparison. Moving on to the medical billing specialist. I had to review the video. I wasn't quite sure if you guys wanted to move that to a grade 11 or a 10. Kind of on the conversation, I believed it was something you mentioned. It was for the similar to the civilian or just the fire inspector. So I went ahead and compared it to both the 9, 10, and 11 for the medical billing specialist. The grade 9s that I compared it to was a public outreach and grant coordinator, the library service supervisor, and the senior legal assistant. The grade 10 was the fleet material coordinator, the community or the emergency communication lead, and the executive assistant. Grade 11, I did the CDBG grants administrator and the assistant planner. In comparing it to the grade 9, or excuse me, we'll start with 11 like I did the others, the grants administrator and the assistant planner. The tasks that they're responsible for exceed those that are for the medical billing specialist. The decisions that they have and the amount of the impact that they have for the community financially and regarding the risk is much higher than that of the medical billing specialist. The CBD grants administrator works with grant administration throughout the city to making sure that that is distributed properly and doing research on grants. The assistant planner works with a variety of stakeholders with the planning and the development within the community, which is a greater responsibility than that medical billing specialist. The second position grade that I compared them to was a grade 10, was the fleet material coordinator, again, the emergency communication lead and the executive assistant. The tasks and responsibilities for each of those positions do exceed what is required of the medical billing specialist. Your fleet material coordinator handles all of the coordination of fleets. They work on the bidding process. They contribute to part of the budgeting and those type of things. That is a journey level position also, which comes into your education, training, and experience. Your emergency communication lead, again, the decisions that they are making bring high liability risk to the city. They are life and death decisions, and the education and training, again, is mandated by the state. The executive assistant, one of the educational requirements on that particular one is required a post-secondary degree is preferred, plus 10 years of experience. They are also responding directly to their department heads and participate in a variety of things from budgeting to presentations, etc. When we compare the public outreach grant coordinator, the library service supervisor, and the senior legal assistant, we believe that those scopes, tasks, and responsibilities do compare with the medical billing specialist. With the medical billing specialist, they are maintaining finance systems, the ambulance division ensuring accurate coding were some of those responsibilities. We believe that those are similar to the functions and the responsibilities that the senior legal assistant would have, the library supervisor, and public outreach. My recommendation was on that is to leave that at a grade 9 because of the task and responsibilities and how those match up. Moving on to the fire inspector position. That was the last one. During the meeting, the budget meeting, it had been requested that that position be moved to a grade 9 because it was felt that the comparison of that fire inspector position is the same as a building, a mechanical, plumbing inspector, and those type of positions. In looking at the job description and speaking with other members of the fire department, the fire inspector currently does not hold any certifications. There is on the job description, it does mention that they are required to have the state fire inspector certification. However, that is not common practice at this moment in time. I know that there was mention of possibly getting that certification to bring that education level and the training up to the grade level of the building mechanical inspectors and the electrical inspectors. There is great responsibility. Those two positions bring a high risk to the city. If something is wrong, that they, if there's misinformation that is shared or something along the lines of a line of plumbing of things don't work, that has a huge risk to the city, and it can impact the city in a financial aspect. When I compared the responsibilities and the decisions that were made, I compared it to a grade 10, and I believe that those decisions compare responsibility, education, those type of things compare with the emergency lead and a fleet material coordinator. The decisions that are making with the codes, reading the ordinances, ensuring that the capacities of buildings and businesses and things, it has a high risk to the city, liability-wise, and the education and the knowledge, the specific knowledge of codes with the city plus international fire code are extremely important, and I believe that those educational levels do meet that of the journeyman fleet material coordinator and the emergency communication lead.
So it is at a,
That is to remain at a 10, at a grade 10.
questions?
I had a question for the fire and EMS support specialist.
Okay.
What job description is that titled that you're using? Is it the administrative support one?
That I compared it to?
No, for that actual position.
For the position that I had that is the most current is the administrative support 5.
Okay, so the one that was drafted in 1995?
I have 95, March 98, and June 10th.
Okay.
Or
This one-
excuse me, June
I just-
2010.
Because the title is different, I just having a hard
Yes.
time finding it.
These, this goes back to the old job descriptions. This is what I was working off of. So the one that I have is that I found was most updated, that it has the revision date and the evaluated of March 95, March 98, and June of 2010.
Okay.
You said you have hard copies of?
Yes, we're
Okay.
getting some copies made for you.
So you'll get a copy of Steph's analysis, and then you'll get a copy of the job descriptions that have been tidied but not overhauled, so that they can be included in the contract. And those are 2 minutes out.
Great.
Yeah, the ones that are.
The job description, you said you,
Just ask. You just ask.
the proposal in, city proposed 25 revised, the city proposed grade remains the same.
Correct.
Okay,
The city's original proposal stands.
okay. And the job descriptions that were getting tidied up, they remain the same language, just new formatting?
Yeah,
Okay.
they will look similar to everything else. I took what was off of these old job descriptions, and I didn't change very little of it, just put it in placement of where our other job descriptions are.
Okay,
So updated titles, updated reporting relationships if necessary.
okay.
So that, you know, we're all looking at the same title, not one from three CBAs ago. It was hard for us to figure out which one was applicable to.
There's a couple of files that are floating around.
This one looks like it was on a typewriter.
That's what, you should have seen her trying to get it into Word.
I may have cussed a little.
It was one of those copy and paste the base data and then format everything.
I went to close one out, and all of the old stuff was sitting there, and it was like holding up my computer when I did it.
So because we're waiting for my copier to cooperate, the question you had about job descriptions, and specifically, does firefighter have to be more specific? And for me, it does for the advertising. But as I laid awake last night worrying about this, I do need all of them to be that specific for when we're looking at FMLA for light duty releases, when we're looking at ADA, when we have someone request an accommodation, we have to be able to show that that is what their job description is actually functioning as. So those details do need to be in there for us to meet those federal level policies, so that we have enough detail to actually say what the job does, so that I can understand it or a doctor can understand it, not just you guys.
Yeah.
So the civilian job descriptions would be in as a separate proposal. They wouldn't tie to the city's 25. I don't know if you want me to add that to the firefighter one or how we want to handle this, because it's kind of weird. It's kind of a data cleanup more than it is a proposal.
Yep.
Okay.
Because these are all of your day shift positions.
So how would you like to address that? Did you keep one for Jared and I?
You want these?
Okay.
You want them right now?
Does she have one?
I mean, we can just take them back.
There we go.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
has
I'll hold
one.
on to them.
You
Yeah,
have
or-
one.
Yeah,
I
just,
have
yeah,
one.
just hang on.
Okay, cool.
Does it make it,
Does it make a difference?
if it's tied to it or not? No.
I'll go get it.
Heather, what did you say? You didn't know whether to include it
So
attached to 25
this
or as a
we would do
separate?
as like a 25A explanation. And then I'm not sure how you want us, how we should address the job descriptions. What is your preference there? Do we just want to include it as part of the CBA? Do you want me to amend the firefighter job descriptions and have this as a subset of that? Do you want it as a subset of 25? You know, I want us all to be comfortable with what we're doing, because we're not overhauling, we're just tidying. So it's kind of a weird situation. We don't normally do this. I can do it as a 25B.
For just specifically the firefighter?
No, for the civilians.
Oh, for civilians?
Day shift.
We could do it as a B.
Okay, we'll do it as 25B. And this will be 25A.
That's the
By
hard copy
explanation.
of what the
Yeah.
explanation.
You good?
On here?
25A is the explanation, 25B is civilian job description.
It's okay. So we'll have to make some tweaks once you guys have a chance to look at this. I figured we'd have a session very soon where we would actually pull these up and start editing together. So we'll just add that to the pile,
Okay.
because the pile's not getting smaller. And I can have Steph come back once you guys have had time to sit and talk about this.
Yeah, that would probably be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I just want that.
And I assume you'd like the job descriptions electronically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
It's
helpful.
a lot easier to edit.
Will you
Were you-
forward those to me?
Yep,
Were you able
absolutely.
to email your counter proposal on the pay plan? I don't think I got that.
Which one?
The one that you gave us yesterday.
It was the revised,
The re-
20 revised.
Where you said the pictures aren't gonna come across.
Yeah, do you guys want to, I didn't send it, do you guys want to talk through that about what your holdups are, or do you want to actually bring a proposal? I was unclear what our final decision was there.
I think we'll probably bring a
Yeah,
proposal forward.
Yeah.
It impacts so many parts of the
Oh, I know.
contract, and so that's what we're kind of working
Yeah,
through.
we're still
here. I
trying.
wanna go through it.
It's just, I'm giving a lot of dialogue. Like, I don't stop talking for hours when we're in here. I'm still not getting a lot back. Like, I don't know if you like it. I know a couple of you like it. I can read the body language, but I'm getting very little feedback as to how you feel about the plan. So I don't know where we sit. Like, is this dying on the vine? Do I need to go back and look at the old scale? I need some active feedback.
I would say it's not dying on the vine.
Yeah.
I think we like the direction we're headed. We're still running through the numbers that were presented yesterday and trying to compare them to what we feel is market in order to have a competent proposal back. So we're still working on some of our justification for when we bring you back a proposal on that one.
Yeah, we're,
I don't wanna
we're moving forward.
Yeah, I don't want to speak.
Because I'm not getting much back, so I'm kind of operating in a vacuum here.
No, I don't want to
It's
speak
just
out of turn, but
So
it's,
big that you
Yes.
dive into one part and it just takes a lot of time.
Well,
Okay,
even
so-
once we get that set, I have like 32 things earmarked in the CBA
Right.
we still have to address.
yeah. I think we generally like the direction that that's headed. We're just working on some things behind the scene for a proposal back, for an answer for you on that, and some
So
justification
I'll
as
send
to
that
why.
over to Jordan electronically.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, 60% of our negotiations team went to work last night and got off at 8 o'clock this morning, so.
Yeah.
And we had a fire last night.
Yeah.
So.
I saw that.
We could probably talk about the lieutenant one.
Yeah, do we want to talk about what
Um,
we're gonna work on?
Yeah, so what we were thinking about tackling today is the lieutenant job description. And maybe having some dialogue about that and working on that together. That might be a good one for us to get knocked out today.
So I am a little concerned that we're focusing on job descriptions for a plan we haven't agreed on. The cart is dragging the horse down the hill. I need to
Well-
know if the horse is going to go down the hill.
The horse is going, I think we're fairly confident in saying the horse is going down the hill.
Well,
Yeah.
but I can guarantee our numbers are different. And
Okay.
I can tell you, we are very close. If that wasn't our last and best, we are a hair's breadth away from it.
Yeah.
So if we are not close, there is no point in working on the job descriptions, especially that one.
One of our, and the reason why we picked the lieutenant position is there are some duties in the lieutenant position that we are not quite sure is commensurate with pay for the position. And so we just want to talk about those things and kind of get some of that ironed out, and see where you're at with that stuff.
Yeah, how vested are you in what's written into this job description? Because it's not only pay, but it's all while being on an ambulance and responding to calls to get a lot of these,
They're doing chief level duties while
a lot of these
working
duties
on
and
an ambulance
responsibilities
full-time on
done
calls.
is going to be very difficult. So if,
So I gotta stop you right there
Yeah.
because you say chief, you guys have 5 levels of them. Which level are you talking about?
Field training officer, like doing all that, that's right now, it's our division chief of training. That's chief level
So
duty.
when we talked about it originally, we explained. But again, I really don't wanna spend time on a job description until we have that 20A basically hammered out. So I don't think that is the best use of our time because we're negotiating on something that is not a solid point. I would rather see your revisions, and I'm not sure taking a 3-hour caucus during negotiations is the best utilization of our time when we could be working on stuff cooperatively.
okay, I think we could get back to working on that then if we could have just a quick dialogue about, are you open to changing some of the stuff in the job
Well,
description?
as I
of the
said, they're
lieutenant?
drafts. We had to start
Right.
from nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we went to other agencies to find information, and then
Mhm.
we kind of did a commensurate, this is how they're paid, that fits within our scale.
Okay.
This is the duties.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we'll take a short caucus.
Okay, and I'll get that sent over to you.
Okay.
Make sure you turn red line on
Well, there.
or check it. And we're back. It's still Tuesday, June 11th at 1:59 PM.
Okay, so we have a counter proposal for you.
Okay,
Austin, if you want to hand that over to me.
Still put this on there, do you want?
Yeah.
Is that's cool?
That's fine.
You're gonna have to ignore the last pictures.
It wouldn't let us.
We tried to move them.
We're not
Uh,
computer
I know.
people.
yeah.
So that is not part of it.
You want me to put an X in real quick or something?
I'll just make a little note that says
Yeah.
more pictures.
Yeah.
It's just that the very bottom picture below the,
The steps.
It's a red line
Okay.
in it, yeah.
We're striking the steps.
which
graphic.
one? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I knew if I had to share that one, it would be messy.
It's all right.
All right, take us what you got, guys.
Okay, so at number 7, we changed the 2 positions back to 3, and we elected A underneath there. For FY '25, the top step or the highest ranked paramedic is going to remain at his pay, and we added receive market adjustments annually.
So can you explain what that means to me?
So that means he will not be getting steps because he was topped out. But we would like that position to receive the market adjustments. I think that's what we're calling them.
Yes.
Yeah. In the table at the end.
And the table at
Under section
the
A.
back.
That we
there,
agree upon.
under section A. Does that make sense?
It does, so the chart doesn't really work like that. Then let me explain why, because we've run into this in other situations. So based on how I'm reading this, and you just explained it, this employee would be placed and pay would be maintained until the table moves past their annual wage. Is that what you're intending, or are you intending a lump sum be applied? Because the table will get wider, but that doesn't mean that they'll make more money until that table exceeds their current hourly rate.
Okay, I
They
guess,
won't be on the table, they will just remain their current.
They would maintain pay, but they would not receive an increase until the table passes
Until those
their pay.
percentages
until the
catch up
percentages
with him.
increase the table. Okay.
Yep.
So I want to make sure I'm clearly
Okay.
explaining how we've done this in the past, so I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're doing here.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think that was our intent with that.
That was not our intent.
Our intent would be for them to
Our
get market
intent was that
adjustments
he
to
would
their.
Our
still get
intent
a
was that he
market
would still
adjustment, but-
receive a market adjustment to the wage that he was receiving.
So you
That would-
understand
that would be-
that wage will never go on the scale then?
Right. Yeah.
So he'll receive a percentage increase under your proposal.
So it would
Which is
almost,
what the market adjustment to the table is. Is that what you're saying?
yes, it would almost be like he is kind of an outlier from the table until he chooses to retire
Or promotes?
or
Or
promotes.
promotes, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I understand your intent. I just wanted to make
Okay,
sure I
that's
take
our
the
intent.
correct notes.
That was our intent, yeah.
Okay.
Then we made a couple more changes. We struck days captain, 9.2 base. We'll address that later. Underneath number 10, we wanted to make sure that we remove the ambiguity from how we're going to place people on the scale and just outline it. This is our understanding of how it is going to work. And we just wanted to put that in here for us to make sure that we understand.
I understand.
Okay. Okay, we left 11 the same. 12 we
On 10,
changed.
there was one more,
Was there one more?
oh wait, no, it maybe wasn't on 10. Hold on, let me double
I
check.
don't think there was.
Okay, yeah, okay, you're right, sorry. That's the one we,
11 we left. 12 we changed firefighter to bargaining unit. 13, we changed eliminate to rename the days captain to fire prevention captain. We added a note down there based on our explanation given yesterday, as far as the roles and the responsibilities of that position go. Well, let me see here. Now it's getting, the yellow's throwing me off a little bit. So that bumps the bullet point that was underneath 14 up to under 13.
Okay,
This position is eligible for the paramedic stipend. And then we struck the rest of the language out of that. Renamed driver operator to engineer, we left the same.
I'm glad there's one bullet point that's survived.
The first 6, we had the first 6.
Yeah, we didn't touch the first 6.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Under demotion pay, we changed a little bit of language in there. We struck grade and step adjustment and just said scale adjustment. And then we struck appropriate pay grade for the demoted rank position in step 3, and we said the highest step attained in the previous respective grade.
Okay,
Do you understand that? Because I don't understand that. Okay.
so
Would
just
speak to it,
for,
too.
no, just for operational understanding, the scale is the whole thing. That's not the grade. So you're gonna wanna continue to call that a grade. The scale is the chart itself.
Okay,
Okay.
did we,
So what would you change in this language?
So it won't result in a pay scale adjustment, it will result in a pay grade adjustment, but it also affects their wage.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah.
scale is the entirety.
Yes, okay.
okay, yeah.
Sorry,
Just so
we're
we
learning.
start
We got
sharing
semantics
language.
wrong.
And I think we went back and forth on that kind of amongst us.
And trust me, I'm still trying to learn all your guys' acronyms. Moving into a step and grade table, you're learning a whole new set of information. So it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
So you're changing scale back to just grade?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You could just say in a pay adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could take pay, we could
That's
take
fine.
scale out and make pay.
I mean, let's cut off one word to this contract
Sure.
and make it so much better.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
So,
I understand the intent there.
Next page, page 3, we changed firefighters to bargaining unit members. And then under the market adjustment table that you guys had here, we added 0.25 to steps 1 through 7 in FY25 and still remained at a 0. And then in FY26, we added 1.25.
Okay.
In 27, we added another 0.25% to that. And then in 28, we added another 0.25% to that.
But you left the 0.25 in 27 for steps 8 through 12.
We did.
So is
Okay.
there a scale that goes with this?
We were having technical difficulties.
So my only
We-
question is, you say base pay for bargaining unit members, but our proposal to you does not have all of your bargaining unit members on the scale. So I just want to make sure, are you bringing me a combined table? Or is that just firefighting staff still?
As we were addressing this particular proposal, this particular proposal is, or counter is based on the firefighter scale. However, we do intend on bringing the day staff scale into this contract section.
I will have questions later on, but
So
I can
our
accept that as an
intent is,
answer right now.
our intent is to bargain for them as well.
So separate from the city scale.
Correct.
Correct.
And I think the reason we didn't do that at this time too was to not get too distracted from this proposal itself, right?
It's separate.
And then we had it as a separate proposal,
Yeah.
so, yeah. We're trying to,
Trying to be able to move forward with job descriptions and all of that.
yeah, we're trying to be able to
It's
move
related
forward
to
with
us.
all of this. Yeah.
because another thing that's missing, I think, is we have the days captain, but we didn't, so since we didn't give you the scale, we don't have the days captain or fire prevention captain paramedic slot underneath there either.
So without a scale, I have questions.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have taken, I'm looking further so I'm on the right thing. On page 2, number 13, does that mean you are eliminating the new fire prevention captain rank we proposed and you're putting them in at the current day's captain rate?
Yes.
That is correct.
So how are we not consolidating the base pay of 9.2% on 8? Or are you proposing that they get their base plus another 9.2? Because right now they have 9.2 built in, and that's how our last proposal went. Here you're striking that. Does that mean that they still will receive their pay as the chart plus another 9.2? Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Our intent was that their pay would not get cut
It would stay the
at
same.
all if they moved to the fire prevention captain.
So-
So we may have,
So the problem is on 8, you're consolidating all these ad pays into base. And here you just eliminated that as part of consolidation, which means that remains an additional 9.2 above the chart.
So
Whatever chart it is you bring.
So the chart that you had calculated, you had them at a FF8, right?
I slotted it back in where the fire marshal was for the fire prevention captain. And then the day's captain was a singularly held position until vacant.
Okay, and I think that was our intent with putting that it would be the FF15 grade, was that pay was, that 9.2% was included in
So
those steps.
then the 9.2
Yeah.
remains consolidated
Yeah.
into base. So that strike is actually incorrect. I
Okay.
just want to make sure I understand.
yeah,
I struck that out because I thought that I had covered it in 13, or we thought we had covered it in 13.
Because we're renaming
we
it
could have
the
been
fire
planning.
prevention,
We
but
have
calling
FF15,
it the same.
yeah.
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 FF15.
yeah.
So if we want to unstrike that, to undo
Well, I
that,
need to understand when I'm starting to look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't want to misinterpret.
yeah, that,
So your fire prevention captain is the same as the current day's captain, but that 9.2 that is currently added on to their wage will be part of base.
Is that how you had it listed in that chart you gave us?
Well, the day's captain would go away, which is held by one person, and then the fire prevention captain, we had calculated at the same annual rate as the captain.
Okay.
Do you feel like we're talking in circles right now?
Kind of.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
It's this one.
we just get to the circle a little bit different times.
Trust me, well, we've chased our own tail on this too. To do a cultural shift this big is very difficult.
Yeah.
so this calculation that you had on this one that you gave us,
So that is an informational. I'm going to
Right.
the small chart.
this, okay,
Sure.
you have, haven't yet the small chart.
I have a 4-inch binder if you need to upgrade, Marcus.
I think I do.
So this chart,
20-inch binder.
the pink line for day's captain has 9.2 built into base.
Okay.
The, what did we call it?
Fire
Fire
prevention.
marshal on this one, because I'm holding the wrong one, which is now called the captain, the fire
Fire prevention
prevention
captain.
captain. That 9.2 does not come into play at all
Okay,
on the city's last counter to you.
okay.
So I just need to understand where you're sitting with the 9.2. And it sounds like
It is.
it's a consolidated into base.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
So we can unstrike the third bullet point under 8.
yes.
Thank you.
This 11.
We worked through lunch, so we're probably not quite, you know.
And for clarity,
Yes.
under 18, we're striking scale,
Yeah.
but not inserting grade, right? So
We're
it just
just gonna
says
say the-
pay adjustment,
Yes. Yes.
okay? And then in section A on page 3, even though we don't have the civilian chart included in this proposal, we're keeping it base pay for bargaining unit members.
But there is a chart coming that consolidates your civilians into your fire chart.
Correct, yes.
And when will we see that?
Friday, probably.
Yeah, not today.
We probably won't have time to get to it today. We'll work on it today.
Friday is basically our last chance to meet. Because then I have to build a budget, which is tax solution, which means we're talking about $167 million for everybody, not just the general fund. So I feel like we are losing a lot of ground. And I think we're at a desperate time crunch now. Because I have more questions now than I have answers from when we started this morning.
Okay, we're gonna step outside for just a second.
Understand?
Right. Can we address any of this?
Let's step outside for a second.
At 2:18.
All right, I am going to initial the changes that we talked about. So I'm going to initial the unstriking of days captain, 9.2 of base. And the striking of scale from 18. And I think that was it, right?
Those are the two I have noted.
Okay. Hand that back to him. Okay.
And we'll scan out a copy of the initialed one to everyone after the meeting. That was a very circular route for that piece of paper.
Just on the topic of the day staff proposal, we did get a little bit of feedback from some of our day staff. And we need to actually probably go back at the video and look at which comparables were used. I'm sorry if comparables isn't the right vernacular.
You have a hard copy that we handed out that tells you which ones it was.
Okay, yeah, I was just making sure.
Just so you don't have to watch this again.
Okay, thank you.
Living through it once is enough.
And so there, it came to light that there were certain certifications that they hold that maybe aren't mentioned in their job descriptions. And some of them are federal certifications. And for example, some positions have ambulance certifications that deal with Medicare and Medicaid. They also hold certified coding specialist certifications, which are national certifications, and that you have to go to school for and test out for. And a lot of the job descriptions and comparable positions were used to justify the pay from the city side. So we just want to make sure that that is recognized in lieu of the antiquated job descriptions that are out. Some of them are 15 years old.
Well, and that's the problem. Certifications that are held but aren't in the job description become optional. Unless they are a part of the job description, it is not a condition of employment.
Okay.
Like I hold, let's hold Microsoft Office certification. I don't. But if I did, that's just something I have. It's not a condition of my job, and I don't get paid, or my position is not assessed because of it.
Okay. We just want to make sure that all of our bases are covered, so we want to maybe reach out to someone who can articulate this a little bit better. And so we want to try to get somebody in here on Friday
That's fine.
with the pay proposal too.
Then I would have to see
Or
job
something like that.
descriptions that have those as actual requirements and as a minimum threshold of employment.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that won't change with new incumbents.
Okay,
It's not person-driven, it's position-driven.
okay. We're still gonna probably.
That's fine,
bring
I'm just
something in.
letting you know how that threshold works.
Okay,
We understand that you're under a time crunch, and we're trying our best to get through the material that we have. But we have to do the due diligence for our members as well to make sure we're taking care of everybody. So we don't necessarily want to rush through something like this. But we are working on it. So.
It's been really hard to build this. Like, I've listened, I've specifically talked to the chief since he got seated. I've talked to Jordan since he got seated about what kind of culture you guys wanted in the department. And that's what this is. A paramedic stipend is a cultural change. It's a better way to increase services to our citizens, which is already top notch. I mean, you guys are national award winners on a lot of things. It's a way to decrease the wear and tear on our employees responding in the paramedic function. I am concerned that you are looking for a perfect scale and you are kind of missing the good scale that is in front of you. It will not be perfect going in. And that's why we had negotiate every however many years. This year we're looking at a tentative 4. But we are running out of time to be able to address this. I'm concerned that at the next meeting, we'll have to go back to talking about the old scale because we will not be far enough along to implement this.
How far off do you think we are right now?
I don't know, I haven't seen a counter table. I see what you wrote, but I don't know if you did anything to the chart. I don't know if you did anything to steps. You guys had an issue with the paramedic lieutenant. I don't know any of that. So I can't give you an answer because I don't know what you're telling me yet.
So we didn't get an accurate scale until yesterday morning, provided from the city. So we have only had the accurate scale that we're operating off of for 24 hours right now.
Well, the scale was accurate, but 10 steps. So the rest of the scale was not affected by those numbers. So paramedic was not changed. Sorry, paramedic lieutenant was not changed. The captain information on days, fire marshal, whatever we want to call it, none of those things changed. But those are still lingering questions. So while there was an error, it did not impact the rest of the scale, and we should be further along in this conversation.
So based on this that we just gave you, how is this affecting the current scale over and above the scale, the step adjustments? I mean, I guess, how can we address
This addresses everybody but our day staff.
what, I mean, is that,
Onto the scale.
you say you want to see a scale for it? I don't think we've changed the scale,
Well, you changed the step amounts.
okay?
You, before you went into caucus, you specifically said you wanted to address the paramedic lieutenant. I don't have any feedback on that. I think I understand what you're doing with the days captain, but I really need to see a chart to make sure I'm comprehending what I'm hearing. Those all have impact.
I mean, we can go throw a chart together really quick. It'll be rudimentary.
Well, I'm assuming, is it that, or so are you providing an informational or are you providing a pay counter?
Our intent was to provide a counter.
Okay. How
So
long
if
can you
you-
caucus and do that before the end of today?
We can certainly try.
So is this not valid without, we need to give you a scale?
Well, I don't know what scale I'm operating off of. What are you basing this off of? Your chart, my chart, the original chart, the revised chart? It's just, I want to make sure I do it right, and I don't know what my starting point is. I can't cost something if I don't know what number I'm starting with.
I believe it was a chart that we got.
It was the most recent chart.
in the back
that you
of-
were-
And was that our chart or your chart?
It was your
Yours.
chart that you provided with, for us yesterday. It was the larger one.
The
We need,
larger,
I know. We need to go back
Hold
to
on.
the smaller one. If you can send us a copy of that, we can make those changes and probably have it to you.
so you guys built a chart for us with your proposal that had the little blue line in the middle because you moved the step in between the breaks. It's essentially the same chart. The problem is I can send you my whole chart, but I can't send you everything that's behind it. Because there's like 47 tabs on that and not all of that is gonna be publicly sent out.
Yep.
And it all ties together. So if I pull it out and send it to you, it's not gonna have all the data you need. That's where I was hoping you could build off of your chart, so I understand what it is you're asking. Does that make sense?
We also want it done right. And
I know.
So that's why we're focusing on it. Some of these things might be able to be overlooked. I just think that we need to make sure we're paying attention to everything along the way.
And I can't TA on anything because I have the three biggest issues: civilian pay, firefighter pay, and medical, and we have nothing even close.
I feel like we're very close on firefighter pay.
Your last proposal increased per person $10,000 at max. That's not close.
This
That's
is our,
what we
this
came
is
back
our
in
last,
that
this is our
But
last one, right?
this
That we feel
front-
like is
but this-
reasonable and fair.
But it front ends the scale because you're increasing each step by 0.25%. That ripples through the entire chart.
I believe it ripples through like 3-point-something% over 12 years, which is
But-
not a lot over 12
But
years.
each rank is based off the previous rank, so it has more impact than that. It compounds. It's a rippling chart. So
and the
that,
chart-
you'll hear me talk to council about a rippling chart. When I take a table adjustment, I apply it to firefighter 1, step 1, and it ripples through the whole chart. If I increase every step 1 through 7, that is gonna ripple exponentially across both ranks and steps. So it's not a simple percentage.
And our intent behind that is
To bring the market.
getting us closer to market. The pay scale has done a pretty darn good job of, at the very end, 12th step, getting us close to our market.
And how are you defining market?
By similar ones that you guys have used in,
And we haven't talked about market at all this negotiation, so I don't know what your
not in
reference
this,
points are.
yeah, okay. For Twin Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho Falls, Caldwell, and Chubbuck. But at the beginning of the pay scale that's proposed, we're over 20% behind in some of those, the averages of those other.
And we didn't look at market at all for the build, because market is a term we like to talk about, because we like to compare things. It's a human way of gauging. However, market has to be applied to the budget level too. You have to assess each department, each city's function, enterprise funds, scope. Like our water department pumps water uphill, Idaho Falls pumps it straight. You guys have a river here, not everyone has a river. You guys have a hazmat. All of those have to be considered for market, and there is no way that assessment is going to be done.
And that's why we're not asking to go to 100% of market either. We're
But
still going to
again,
be at 80% of market.
I don't agree with what you're saying with market, because I don't understand what you're talking about.
So this scale was to try and bring us closer to general employees' pay scale. How did you build their charts?
So this scale was not to bring you closer to general employees' pay charts.
Okay.
This scale was built to build the paramedic stipend, which is, I've been hearing from members of your department, is important.
Okay.
It was a way for us to make this cultural shift, which is very, very difficult. And I know, just watching your body language, all 5 of you at this table want that shift. But I also have limitations in budget, as I've explained. The money is simply not there that you're asking for. And I am very sorry, but it's just not there. You have to nibble this. And I know you don't want to hear that because you're worried about individual pay. I have to worry about pay for 600 plus the taxpayers that we're pulling this money from. It simply is not there to continue to make this chart bigger. That's why when I did the medical counter, I was very careful to explain, I'm not taking away a benefit, I'm having to shift it, because that's where we're at budget-wise. The money is not there to throw another $500,000 or $750,000 or another $250,000 towards this. I'm maxed at what I can give you. At this point, if we wanted to shift things, we're gonna start talking about eliminating the paramedic lieutenant rank. I can't pay those 3 people more if you want money pushed other ways, and then I have to backwards calculate that into the other existing employees across 2912, considering your overtime and your new vacation spots to figure out how much money that actually is going to be. It's fractional, but it adds up very fast when you times it times almost 3,000 hours a year per person. I really want this to go, and I'm totally invested in this, and I'm so proud of what we've built together. But right now, we are at a crossroads, and you guys, it's just not there. And I can't make this perfect this year. And I don't think we have time to do it at this point.
I think we do have time, and I think that we provided you with what we feel like is a reasonable and fair offer so that we can justify taking a 0% market adjustment the first year to our members. I think you can counter. If you can't afford that, then bring us a counter and we will go from there.
And I understand that, and I'm telling you right now, the city's last offer that we submitted is what's standing for us. And I also have a lot of heartburn because we have a bunch of open proposals that I've tried to talk about, and the response I got from this body was, it's not important to us. But it is important to me, and I've given a lot. The council has been very supportive. They want you guys taken care of, but you're not willing to talk about things that are important to my body.
We've TA'd 10 of your proposals out of 26, and then you bring us an entire contract rewrite. We can't do an entire contract rewrite and go through, I mean, look at, these are, all except for 5 pages are proposals from you,
Yeah.
or from the city, not from you, excuse me.
We
So to go
assume
through,
it's
so to go through
loyal.
26 things and do a contract rewrite is, I mean, I don't know how you can expect the union to bite off on that from our perspective.
I understand, but you're also the group that asked for the shift of the paramedic stipend. So I feel like that work is equally shared between us. I don't think it's fair to push that whole workload back on, we're forcing it upon you.
And we have,
I feel that we've
got to-
delivered something you've asked for. So I don't think that me bringing other administrative proposals that the majority you're already enjoying the benefits for, but is in no way delineated that you get them, is unreasonable.
This just takes a lot of time, and I think that we're kind of frustrated because we've headed in a lot of different directions. We've had a lot of proposals thrown at us, which we started working on. We've TA'd a lot, we've got a lot done, but this is just a lot, it's a huge time commitment, and we're not overlooking anything, we're not diminishing any of your proposals.
We have
Just
like
where is the
7
time?
proposals we have not talked about at all. Like, not a word.
Where would you like us to focus?
We've
You want
got
us to do
job,
this or something else?
we've got job descriptions that, and you've even said yourself that job descriptions are a giant undertaking, and we just got them, and so we're trying to go through, we tried to subcommittee them out, and that took a week, and we're trying to do as fast as we can, and then we have to go through them again. And then this morning we want to talk about it, you said you didn't want to talk about that.
Well, I can't because there's nothing to build them off of. I
So
mean,
we
why
can't
would
go on
we
the
s-
lieutenant position unless we talk about what the lieutenant position is. We can't.
And that's
we don't know
my
what that
question is, you told me you didn't think it was fairly paid. I heard that directly from the table. You felt it was not correctly slotted. Am I misinterpreting?
Based on how the job description was wrote,
So,
yes.
as we told, we had to build it from scratch. We aren't even close on the table.
I think we're very close on the table.
We're not close on the table.
How are we not close on the table?
Because your percentages of 0.5 to each step is massive.
We did
It's not
0.25.
0.25.
Yeah, 0.25, but that ripples across every step and every grade. It's not a simple number.
We added 0.25 to 6 steps.
Yes, across, that affect every rank above it. So that rank above it gets the 0.25 plus the percentage. So it's not a simple number.
Okay.
So then you brought us a table with 0 wiggle room?
I brought you what I believe I have been educated by your own body, what you're looking for. At
I
the
don't
basic-
know how you've been educated by the body, other than talking with Jordan. There's been no conversation with me. Or, I
Isn't
don't-
Jordan the representative I'm supposed to utilize when addressing the union?
Yes, but you keep saying you're a friend to all of us, is like we've all bought in on this. You've talked to one person.
I have, because my understanding was he was elected to represent you.
Yes.
So I'm sorry if I'm misinterpreting that. I feel it would be inappropriate for me to approach your members about what they're looking for. I mean, talk about gross overstep.
Okay, so
I think we
If
should
the-
take a caucus and I'll look at your numbers, but I need a chart from you.
okay.
We'll have it.
All right, and we're back. It's 4:14.
So, as you know, this is a pretty cumbersome project here to create a table. We spent a lot of time in the last little bit working on it, and we made a mistake in our numbers.
That's okay. I understand this feeling.
And
I
it's
was-
gonna take us a minute to figure
I'm
out.
trying to learn Excel on the fly, and it is quite difficult.
So we don't want to give you this because it is incorrect.
Okay,
I'd be happy to explain the mistake I made on it,
sure.
but I don't know if that's a moot point.
Probably. I think
Okay.
we want to give them a finished product. At this point, we're bumping up against the end of the day. How would you guys like to proceed from here? We can go back and try to fix it and try to bring it out to you. We didn't notice it until we got them printed out.
I understand.
So,
I felt that pain.
yeah. We're sympathetic.
It's hard to build a scale from scratch, especially when we're shifting percentages, and it's hard because you have to do it for every cell. Yeah. Yeah. So we are scheduled again on Friday. We might want to consider a very, very long day, unless you guys want to take a break and look at a longer evening today.
I think we're gonna spend some time and get this ironed out and iron out some of the other stuff that we have too. And I think Friday, we can plan on a long day on Friday.
Do you have anything?
I'm just wondering if you're gonna look at costs of your proposal. Is that something you guys are working on?
It is.
Okay, that would be helpful. And where we're up against some budget timelines, Friday's gotta be productive on a lot of fronts.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think you guys understand that as well, so.
And Friday is the day we have to fact finders' names, correct?
Yeah, we don't have to share that in open session. It just needs to be exchanged by the end of the day Friday.
Is there a format?
The format is just the name and it says address in the code, but I assume that we can use just basic contact information
Okay.
for that information. At least we're fine with that if you are. And we can just exchange those at some point on Friday.
Okay.
And that can be informally off the record, but of course that will become part of the record if we get to that point.
Sure.
I don't think we can.
Do I need to-
Cost to say they can.
We do need you to write in what the edits are on the initials so that we
Sure.
know what those are.
Can you be specific on what you mean by cost to the plan? Like, when we build this, what cost are you looking for? Is it a comparative?
Yeah, so your proposal is an increase to what we proposed to you. And so when you propose, it's helpful to us to know what that cost would be. The difference between what we offered and what you're suggesting. Is there any other costs that are helpful to you?
No, the total costs includes the PERSI, the Social Security match, all of those need to be included. Any FICA that's applicable to you.
Do you have a percentage that you use for that?
I individually pull them from the different entities.
Okay. Okay, got that, I think. Maybe you guys should check.
All right, so it sounds like we're on the docket for Friday. And the big ones we have open are firefighter compensation, your day staff compensation, medical. And then the ones, two we haven't talked about is your proposal 5, which is it's not the physical fitness test. I still want to call it the combat challenge. I'm struggling with that shift. And then the city's proposal to open negotiations in March. We haven't talked about either of those at all.
Okay,
So we'll be prepared to address your 5.
okay.
All right, thank you for your time today, gentlemen. We're done at 4:18.
8:30?
8:30.